6 games in the SEC. Peter Burns stops by to talk SEC coaching openings. And our celebrity guest picker, former World Series champion Geoff Blum, locked on SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into Locked On SEC. It's great to have you guys along. I'm Chris Gordy. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Shout out to our everydayers. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts on YouTube and now on the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network, broadcasting daily across Alabama, Louisiana, and Mississippi. And, of course, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda move and be moved. All right, let's jump into it as we get into our picks, looking at the SEC Week 6 slate and or Week 10 slate rather, with just 6 games. And we start with Vanderbilt at Texas. Been looking at that line, Texas minus 2.5. This is all courtesy of FanDuel. Texas, the home favorite. Vandy still a little bit not catching respect as a top 10 team. They're on the road. But Texas minus 2.5. Georgia and Florida, of course, in Jacksonville. Georgia around a 7.5 point favorite. A lot of people surprised that this line is not very big, considering Florida will be having their first game without Billy Napier after his firing. South Carolina at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a 12.5 point home favorite over the Gamecocks. We'll see if the Gamecocks can rally the troops and give another effort like they did against Bama last week. Oklahoma at Tennessee. Tennessee just a 3.5 point home favorite. A little surprised by that one. Their offense has been electric, but of course, Oklahoma's defense largely this season has been very good. Not great against Ole Miss last week. Kentucky at Auburn. Auburn, 11.5 point home favorite. Man, I don't know many other teams Auburn would be an 11.5 point home favorite against in the country, but Kentucky just speaks to, I guess, how rough their season is going. And then lastly, Mississippi State and Arkansas. Again, Arkansas is yet to win an SEC game. Mississippi State is yet to win an SEC game, but Arkansas minus 4.5. They, I don't know how many teams Arkansas would be favored by 4.5 against across the country. So that is your early betting lines. All right, we're going to talk some of those games with our celebrity guest picker, Geoff Blum, coming up in just a little bit. But we do want to get to a little bit of our conversation with Peter Burns here in a second. I do want to point out, though, we posted Thursday's show, and it was about, talking with Stephen Willis about Lane Kiffin possibly staying put. And the big question I've gotten from a lot of folks this week is, why hasn't Lane signed an extension yet? If he's staying at Ole Miss and he's not going to Florida and not going to LSU and not entertaining any other offers, why hasn't he signed that extension? There's been talk that there's been an extension on his desk for a while now, and he's yet to sign it. We saw Curt Cignetti lock himself in at Indiana a couple weeks ago. He didn't have to do that. He could have let the season play out. Cignetti wanted to send a message, I'm here at Indiana to stay. And then yesterday, we saw Matt Rule get an extension to stay at Nebraska. So we take him off the Penn State watch list. But there was a reason why Lane Kiffin has not signed a deal yet to stay at Ole Miss. It's that he could possibly be interested in hearing out some of these other offers. So, again, take that for what you will. We'll see what happens. But if you're an Ole Miss fan, you're rooting like hell and maybe even believing, I got a buddy who's on the inside. He said Lane's not going anywhere. So we'll see what happens as this thing unveils. All right, earlier today, we were able to catch up with Peter Burns from the SEC Network on our radio station, so we bring you some of that conversation. It starts with PB talking about what he made of the Louisiana governor's comments on Wednesday, making this LSU coaching search look like somewhat of a debacle. Here was Peter Burns.
First and foremost, even before this, you got to realize, earlier in the day, Ed Ogeron had come on our radio shows and said that he was willing to come back and be the head coach at LSU. And that wasn't the wildest thing that happened around LSU football. That's wild. I mean, Jeff Landry, the governor, he's there for a press conference, and this is about food stamps and what's going on with the government shutdown. In typical Louisiana politics, someone asked him about LSU football, and Buddy, he was not holding back. I mean, he went out there and threw Scott Woodward, the athletic director, underneath the bus and started talking about he'd trust Donald Trump to hire the next head coach more so than his current athletic director. I mean, it was everything Louisiana politics and LSU football has always been, but in front of everybody in a press conference.
Yeah, PB, I heard him say President Trump could bring LSU a winner. If he gets Nick Saban to return back to LSU, I think he'd win over a lot of folks there.
If you're going to lean on somebody, right, like lean on Saban and be like, hey, listen, I'm just letting you know you should go back there for 3 or 4 years. I mean, LSU fans would be like, all right, we're fine with that.
I got to think this has happened. Has this happened before that you've had a school in the process of hiring a head coach with a lame duck athletic director? I mean, has this happened before?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know what the situation is at the University of Florida right now, right? I mean, a lot of people were not happy with Scott Strickland keeping Billy Napier around. Will there be more of a Board of Regents, decision? But at least at this point, you don't have the Governor DeSantis coming in and having a press conference saying that, hey, I'm going to appoint the Board of Supervisors and they're going to be the one, not the athletic director. And again, you guys have been around it long enough. Y'all know that these conversations happen, especially in the state of Louisiana, but traditionally it's backroom conversations and it never makes it out to public. But I think that was why it was so shocking. And at the end of the day, does not make it any easier to hire a new coach at LSU. And in fact, when he starts throwing Jimmy Sexton and Trace Armstrong, the super agents, underneath the bus, almost saying that they should be looked at by the NCAA and almost investigated, that's not a great look because those are the people you're probably going to do business with. And I can't imagine that's going to give you much of a discount going forward.
Talking with Peter Burns of the SEC Network. Peter, who are some of the names you think are at the top of LSU's list right now?
Yeah, I mean, again, we're probably 2 months away from this soap opera, which is great as a sports radio shows and at the SEC Network because I'm going to have so much content. I'll be honest with you. Brent Key over at Georgia Tech, guys, because he's very interesting to me because it feels like kind of a no-nonsense, like, hey, we're going to bring physicality back to Georgia Tech football. He's done that. And that's kind of what they're looking for at LSU. Anytime that you fire a head coach, you always hire somebody that's a little bit different. If he was offensive-minded, then you hire a defensive guy. If he was a little bit more, flashy, you hire a guy that's kind of just in the trenches. So Brent Key's one of those guys. I mean, obviously, I think Lane Kiffin will be getting a look. But if I'm Lane Kiffin, why not stay and build your own legacy? I mean, again, best case scenario, you win one championship at LSU, you're going to be still behind Nick Saban, and Ed Orgeron is beloved among the LSU faithful. So, I mean, my first call would have been Dan Lanning. But the problem is Lanning and Phil Knight and Nike have all kinds of really good deals out there for him. So it'd be really, really difficult, especially with the comings and goings of the last couple of days, to get him all the way back down to Baton Rouge.
The Kiffin thing is fascinating because I brought this up, Pete. The state of Louisiana, you don't compete with anybody else in-state for recruiting. The one thing Lane has done okay with in Oxford, but not crushed it, is recruiting. They've crushed on the transfer portal side, but I think that's out of necessity because they haven't been signing top 5 recruiting classes at Ole Miss. If he goes to LSU, he's going to sign top 5, top 10 recruiting classes, and it's just kind of a different path. I think the biggest question he has to ask himself is, can I win a national championship at Ole Miss? And if the honest answer is no, then I think he needs to jump.
I think that's fair. I think one of the things that you look at, though, is also, I mean, Gordy, you can go back and look at last year. I mean, that roster for Ole Miss was as good as any roster in the country, and they went 9-3, right? So there's no such thing as an absolute slam dunk, right now for any of these schools. And again, the only thing I think about Lane Kiffin, he's done so much of this, rehabbing his image, saying the grass is not greener, I'm not chasing other things. And they had that whole documentary on him, how he's a changed man. You can't keep putting that out there and then all of a sudden just leave Oxford. I mean, they'll look at him as a Benedict Arnold the same way Tennessee fans felt like he was when he left for USC.
All right, looking at this weekend, PB, Texas still sitting there with 2 losses, hosting Vanderbilt this weekend. Is there a chance Texas could still maybe run the table, Longhorns make the playoff?
Yeah, there is, but the problem, I think it ends this week. I really like this Diego Pavia-led Vanderbilt squad, and people go, well, it's a flash in the pan, whatnot. If you know ball and you watch the way Vanderbilt plays, they're highly efficient both offensively and defensively. They've got the dudes. I mean, they out-physicaled and manhandled LSU in that roster. So I think that, even with Arch Manning practicing this week, coming off the concussion protocol, Vanderbilt's the better team. Like if we swap the jerseys, Vegas would have, Vanderbilt's football team is probably a 10-point favorite, but everyone still looks at the brand and says, it's Vanderbilt. They can't win. They're going to beat Texas this weekend in Austin. And then we're going to be looking at the team in Texas to talk about is the Texas A&M Aggies, who have been incredible so far this season.
Your gut feeling is does Stark stick around in Austin, or was that eyeing the NFL report true?
Yeah, I don't know why he would leave that situation now. And again, that was a weird report. And whenever Diana Rossini was kind of pressed on it, it was very vague. So, I think the fact that Jimmy Sexton and these agents had to come out real quick and say, no, that's not happening, that rarely happens in college athletics. Like normally an agent wants as many rumors that are out there. So I still think Sark can get it done in Austin. He's had been in the playoff 2 years in a row, and then again, still technically live this year. But they just need to get better quarterback play, and they hadn't got that from Arch, especially from the offensive line.
All right, last one for you. Is Texas A&M legit? And also, could Mike Elko possibly consider the Penn State job?
I mean, it would be a much easier path because there's only 2 or 3 teams that are really worth a damn in the Big Ten. I mean, it's a pretty fraudulent conference when they talk about just depth-wise. So it'd be easier for him. But no, he's in the thick of it right now. And trust me, if Elko can have whatever he wants. And again, that's an untapped resource there because if you look at A&M, my goodness, when's the last time they won a national championship? Talking about Lane being a hero, Mike Elko and the Teddy Roosevelt of college football, they have a damn statue and he can claim all the Buckies he wants right there at A&M.
All right, there you have it. That was our conversation with Peter Burns earlier today. When we return, we will get to our celebrity guest picker segment with some picks heading into this weekend. Our thanks to PB for that segment. This episode is brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward. For those who believe it is not just about playing the game, it is about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, they move culture, and they keep the game moving forward. And this week, we're going to go with Diego Pavia's gutty performance late in the win against Missouri. A defensive effort, a battle on both sides, a lot of hits, not a lot of great offense. Pavia struggled throughout much of the day, but he dug deep, and late in that fourth quarter, he did what he needed to do to get in the end zone, to get the game-winning touchdown for Vanderbilt, to get the big home win over Mizzou at home with College Game Day in town and everything else, and remain in the top 10. And Pavia got it done. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to every Mazda vehicle. It is Mazda, move and be moved. Rolling along here, Locked On SEC, and it is time for our weekly segment. It is time for our celebrity guest picker segment. We do it every week this time of the week on a Friday, headed into the weekend. And this guy, very special guest, 13 seasons in the big leagues, hit 99 career home runs, a World Series champion in the 2005 World Series with the Chicago White Sox, played for 7 different big league teams, probably paid a ton of taxes playing in all those states. He played his college ball at Cal. And though he didn't go to an SEC school, he's got kids at SEC schools, so he is paying a ton to the SEC right now. So he's certainly earned his keep. He's been the color analyst on the Astros television broadcast for the past 12 seasons. He played, of course, been calling games almost as long as his playing career, and he is the great Geoff Blum, and he joins us now. Geoff Blummer, welcome in.
I don't know if I should, was it L and a pig nose? Yeah, I am a heavy SEC donor, and I really appreciate this call from you, Gordy. It's good to be on, man.
Yeah, talk a little bit about it, because you played your college ball at Cal. Take me back in the day, because you were playing in those early 90s, and there were some big SEC powers out there. Did you get any looks from any of the teams out this way?
You know what? I actually did, amazingly enough. I know that there's a little bit of a pipeline through, back in my day, there were a little bit of a pipeline through some of the junior colleges to Oklahoma, Arkansas, and some of those other schools in the SEC. But at the time, I was playing in what was considered one of the better conferences, or the potential to play in one of the conferences out in the West Coast, which was the Pac-10 at the time for football. But what a lot of people don't know is in baseball, we called it the six-pack because we didn't have the Oregon schools or the Washington schools in baseball. We just played Stanford, UCLA, USC, us, and then the Arizona schools. So it was kind of it was a tough conference. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, I got a little consideration from some of those some of those ACC, SEC schools, but I don't think I was going to go that far for school.
Yeah, because I was just thinking the time frame. Like LSU was in the midst of the Skip Burtman, winning titles.
Oh man, Oklahoma State's,
Yeah,
yeah.
Mississippi State was really good, but USC, they were winning titles too. So it was kind of you had it all across the country. But are you impressed by like how big college baseball has become and how it's becoming? I mean, because it seems like even top prospects now are saying, you know what, I'm going to school for 3 years.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous, to be honest with you. I mean, there's a lot of envy when I show up for the first game of the season at Arkansas. I think it was maybe 2 years ago, and they're playing Grambling State, and it's February, nothing, and it's 50 degrees in the middle of the afternoon on a Tuesday, and there's 9,000 people in the stands. I've yet to be over to LSU to check out a baseball game, which is one of my goals this the upcoming New Year's, to go watch some LSU baseball in Baton Rouge. But the environment that is created, if you think about what's going on in Major League Baseball and the D1 game, uh, you know, professional baseball shifted greatly in the minor league situation. They removed a lot of minor league affiliates, therefore, not as many jobs in the minor leagues. And now, what you're starting to see with the shift in some of these facilities at the D1 level, I think they did a great job of recognizing there's a real opportunity to get great talent here. So let's upgrade our facilities, make this somewhere maybe a quadruple A type environment, and get some of these kids in here. They're developing them just as well at the D1 level as maybe they are at the big league level, with some of the coaching and the technology that they're getting. The accommodations are obviously off the charts. And then you add in the fact that I get a chance to play in front of 10,000 people every single weekend. And plus, the competition I'm playing is maybe AA, AAA type level. There's a lot of experience and fun to be gained by going to a D1 organization in the SEC.
And you left out the best part now, NIL. I mean, you can get
Oh
paid.
man, yeah, and you're getting paid on top of it. That's another thing. I know the bonuses are great when you get drafted in those top 10 rounds, but at the same time, that monthly paycheck is a lot better in college now than it is in the minor leagues.
And even we've moved on from the archaic, you get half a scholarship. That was like the baseball. We could do half. You want to pay the other half?
Yeah, exactly. No, the situation is much better. And you think about it, I mean, twofold too. You get that little bit of a backup plan, knowing that you get a little bit of an education, if things don't go the way you hope they do as far as the athletic part.
Yeah, and some of these SEC schools, even if you don't succeed in the majors, come back home, because if you were part of a national title team, you'll have a job no matter what. So
absolutely.
Pretty cool stuff. So take us through. So you got some kids at some SEC schools, Arkansas and LSU. So you've been to some games this season. What's it been like taking these big games?
It's been great. Yeah. We moved to Texas in 2017 when my daughters were in middle school, and they thrived growing up and going through the Katy school system. And I had every intention of sending them back to California and losing every dollar I ever made as a big leaguer. But they made the option to stay a little bit closer to home and stay in the South, which I greatly appreciate, because I do have the opportunity to literally live vicariously through them and alongside them when we go and visit them on weekends, especially in October, November, December, when they're playing some of these great football matchups. Just last year, I got to be in the touchdown club in Arkansas when they beat Tennessee. And about the third quarter, you should have seen the look on my wife's face when I told her, they win this thing, we're going on the field. We are going to rush the field. And sure enough, they ended up holding on for that victory. And we're, woo pigging at the 50-yard line with every other, 20-year-old in Fayetteville. So it's been a lot of fun. It's a completely different environment than anything my wife and I ever expected coming from the West Coast. And that's what our girls wanted. They wanted big-time college atmosphere. They wanted big-time campuses. And I think they found them both in Fayetteville and Baton Rouge. It's been a lot of fun to watch them thrive both in the classroom, which they're doing a great job, but also enjoying some of these, these college cities and these college environments and kind of creating that camaraderie. It's been a lot of fun to watch and be a part of.
And what's crazy, Blummer, you could see the SEC money at work. Like I try to get around, like you don't go to Fayetteville for 2 years and then you go back and go, oh, new buildings, new this, new that. Everything's new. And it's like, even from just 20 years ago, living in dorms aren't dorms anymore. I mean, now it's off-campus apartments, chalets that look like you're in the mountains of Colorado. I'm like, what is this on these campuses? But this is where college life is now. Gone are the days of ramen noodles and dorm rooms. I mean, that's gone.
Oh, dude, trust me. Yeah, when my oldest daughter moved into a dorm in Fayetteville. It was nice. She had to share a room with somebody, or I don't even think she had to share a room, but it was one of those those four apartments. They have a communal area. But two of my three triplets ended up at Arkansas also. But their freshman year, you're exactly right. They moved into basically their own bedroom, own bathroom, a full kitchen, washer and dryer. What the heck, inside the apartment? I couldn't believe it. But they put that label of dorm on it. And I couldn't help but laugh and take videos and send it to some of my old college buddies going, this is where we're at now.
So before we get to our picks, I guess you had some procedures recently. Are you doing okay? I just you played in a charity game or something, and you
Dude.
broke a finger.
Oh, so yeah, so with the month of October and the Astros not being in the playoffs has opened up an entire month of me to basically go to the auto shop for my body. I had ligament damage in my right hand, and the day before my scheduled surgery, I break my right ring finger. I mean, I can show it to you. I didn't paint that. I'm not Caleb Williams. Break that finger, and then I had some neck issues earlier in the season during the regular season. And I was able to schedule surgery in October because the Astros didn't make the playoffs. And I look like Will Ferrell from Old School, like, dude, you took a dart to your neck, So I'm a little banged up right now. And so if I clear my throat or cough or, go for a drink of water, that will explain why. But I'm on the mend. By the time season starts again, I'll be good to go. But man, right now it's all SEC.
Yeah, I love it, man. We're you're on the IL, but you're pushing through. We love to see it.
Yeah.
Real quick, one more. Does World Series? You root for the Blue Jays here?
Oh, I am, you hoser. Having spent time in Montreal for my first 3 years of my big league career, it's not that I have an affinity for the country of Canada, but I have an affinity for players up there. I really enjoyed my time there, and I enjoyed the competition between the Jays and the Expos. But as well as I do, down here in the South, anytime you mention the word Dodgers, I will pick the other team. And having experience with the Expos, I got to watch Vladdy Guerrero be introduced to the world. My wife was giving him flips in the tunnels in Montreal back in the early 2000s. So we have a little bit of a connection with Vlad Guerrero Jr. And obviously with George Springer, Miles Straw, Joey Loperfido. There's some Astros up there, but we're definitely rooting for the Jays.
That's cool. Yeah, I think a lot of people are. No offense to Shohei, he's the greatest to ever do.
No, those guys are great, and I love Freddie, and Shohei's the best player we're ever going to see in our lives. But man, just not the Dodgers.
Yeah. Back to Geoff Blum in just a second, but first it is almost the weekend. It's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players deliver when it matters most. Let's jump into it. And we are giving you Marcel Reed from Texas A&M, the quarterback, delivered in a big way in the win in Death Valley last weekend to knock off LSU. When the pressure was on, Marcel Reed came through a near flawless second quarter, third and fourth quarter. He was outstanding. No hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching week after week, the performance is not a fluke. Marcel Reed, right up there, atop a lot of people's Heisman watch list because he has been so exciting this season. And just like Marcel Reed delivered for the Aggies, DoorDash delivers your Saturday. So DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday you order, stack it up all season long, and you can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday, keep the streak alive, and fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through 11/18. This episode also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. And we'll be telling you guys NBA is back, of course. No better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And it's not just the NBA. They got all the college games up there as well. Showed you the line earlier from FanDuel on this week's slate of SEC games. So if you want to get in on any of those games, check them out. FanDuel has got that up at their sports book right now. You can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. Keeps every game exciting. Right now, FanDuel giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, let's jump into it, Blummer. Let's take a look at our celebrity guest picker standings. So we had Steven Garcia, the former South Carolina quarterback, on last week. He went 6-1 with our guy Holden Mayo and our guy Jay Crane. So they're all sitting up the top. We had Captain Will from Big Brother 27. He went 5-2 with Ben Troop, former Florida tight end, and then Stingray. And then coming up the bottom is Taylor Hicks for American Idol and Cam Vaughn, the LSU linebacker. So this is what you're competing with. If you can go a clean 7-0, Blummer, you'll jump right atop the leaderboard here. So we do this very simple. It's no spread. We're just picking winners only. Now, here's the conundrum. There's only 6 games in the SEC this week, and we do 7 games.
I picked a great week to do this.
So I picked your alma mater. We're going to start off with number 15, Virginia, at 5-3 Cal. No allegiance here. You can take Virginia. Just pick who you think will win.
I think I love my Bears, and I know they give us so much hope. And the freshman quarterback that we've got out there slinging it left-handed, but we cannot catch a pass this dude throws. But I'm taking UVA. I know they've got to travel cross country, but and Cal is a unique environment, but it's not that tough.
We were out on we were in San Francisco and Oakland and all that area over the summer, and we went out to we were touring campus and we went by the ballpark. I was like, oh yeah, Cal, who played here? And then I see, oh, Geoff Blum's face. I was like, oh, I completely forgot he played here. So
you make the appropriate donations, they'll do anything.
Yeah, dude, it was weird though. We went high up in a building and we looked out and you could see the water like in the distance.
Yes.
And then I saw the ACC logo and I was just like, Pacific Ocean Atlantic Coast Conference. Just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, the world of college football right now is a little chaotic.
All right, let's get into the SEC games. We'll start next with Kentucky at Auburn. I said for this one, Blummer, you got to be a diehard football fan to watch this one because these are two programs kind of struggling. Hugh Freeze on the hot seat, but Kentucky at Auburn.
At Auburn, I'm taking Auburn. I know Kentucky kind of can overachieve a little bit, but I think Auburn, Hugh Freeze at home, they've got to perform a little bit.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. They got the win over Arkansas last week, so maybe he keeps saving his job, and who knows? If they keep getting better, maybe they can pull off the upset of Alabama in the Iron Bowl at the end of the year. But I'm going to stick with Auburn at home. But Cutter Boley looked pretty good last week, throwing 5 touchdowns for Kentucky. How about this one is near and dear to your heart. It'll be Mississippi State at Arkansas. Bobby Petrino still looking for that first win as the interim head coach.
Well, aren't both teams looking for their first win in the SEC?
I think that's right.
I'm anti-cowbell, so I'm going to go with the Hogs. Woo pig.
Okay, I think I'm with you. Petrino's got to get over the hump and win one eventually.
I'm such a huge Taylon Green fan. I love the way that dude plays football, and Washington, the running back. I expect a big game from him.
Taylon Green, former guest right here on Locked On SEC. How's this, Blummer? Taylon Green is 3rd in the SEC in passing yards. Mike Washington's 3rd in the SEC in rushing yards, and Omega Blake is 3rd in the SEC in receiving yards, and yet they can't win a game.
Yeah, can those guys go both ways? We need to put them on defense. Good grief.
Go back to old school. How about number 5, Georgia versus Florida in Jacksonville? This will be the first time we see Florida with their interim head coach after firing, of course, Billy Napier. So, but Florida, obviously the favorite here. Or I'm sorry, Georgia, the favorite here.
I was going to say, you shocked me with that one. No, I've got too many friends in Augusta from my times going to the Masters, and they're all UGA fans, and I get a lot of input and feedback from them every single weekend, so I'm going with the Dogs.
Yeah, DJ Lagway, talented quarterback from the Houston area, and that's the crazy part of these teams that fire their coaches, Blummers. You look at the roster and go, still a ton of talent on that team.
Isn't that the truth? I think that's what's crazy about it. These rosters that these interim coaches are taking over are extremely talented, and if they can turn it around, they've got the personnel to do it. I'm
with you. I'm going with Georgia. Next up, it is South Carolina at number 7, Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin has got that gold. The road is paved for him. Just win these last 4. You're maybe going to Atlanta for the SEC title game. Even if they lose one, they're in the playoff. But South Carolina gave everything they had to try to pull off the upset in Alabama last week. Couldn't get it done. I like Ole Miss at home. What say you?
No, Ole Miss at home I think is really tough. I mean, that environment is another unique one that I'm kind of anxious to go and try and figure out. But I love Sellers, the quarterback for South Carolina. Big fan of Beamer from watching some of the the Road to the SEC or whatever it is on Netflix. I love the way he coaches, but I just don't think he has the firepower to overcome a Lane Kiffin, who is obviously the national darling with some of these coaching opportunities ahead of him. Potentially, I expect him to go out and score big.
Yeah, that might be a Geoff Blum check to try to get Lane Kiffin over at LSU.
I may have 1 or 2 left.
We got two more games for you. How about number 9, Vanderbilt at number 20, Texas? It's been the story of the season. Diego Pavia, he's been so fun to watch. But Texas, they're back home finally. First game at DKR in like a month. And Arch, kind of questionable concussion protocol. We'll see if he goes. But a big chance here. If Texas can win out, they could still make the playoff. But Vanderbilt, top 10 in the country.
Yeah, I'm not sure how. I mean, it's amazing to watch. I know that Vandy's defense gets kind of overlooked because Pavia, running the Heisman stances in the end zones, the chatter around him. Clark Lee gets a lot of credit, but I don't think that defense gets enough credit. But I do think it's going to be very, very interesting to see how it is going to be for those fans bringing Vandy into UT because it has been so long. And I think Sark kind of realizes an opportunity right here. I'm going to go against the grain a little bit. I know that Vandy's that Cinderella feel-good story, and this kind of goes against all my beliefs here being in Texas too. And but I think UT has a real opportunity, and if they can seize the moment at home, it'd be great for them. Big teams show up in big moments. They paid for a very good team at UT. They've got to step up. So I'm taking UT. I'm gonna take them over Vandy. I'm gonna pick the upset.
I think I'm going to stick with Vandy just because it's early. If it was a night game at DKR, I think I'd be all over Texas, but maybe a little bit sleepy, a little sleepwalking. And if it's Matthew Caldwell, quarterback Texas, I don't know. I mean, he's not as talented as Arch, so
that's a good point.
We'll see on that one. Last one for you, Blummer, is number 18, Oklahoma at number 14, Tennessee. It's a playoff elimination game. Both teams with 2 losses, so whoever loses this game is basically out of the playoff hunt, but it's on Rocky Top, and man, their offense has been electric this year.
Their offense has been electric. They've been throwing dimes. And, oh, by the way, Halloween weekend in Knoxville is usually a pretty good time. And I think they're breaking out the black and orange, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm strictly on uniforms. I'm taking Tennessee. I think they look badass.
I'm with you. I'm sticking with Tennessee. John Mateer's just not looked the same since he came back from the injury. So we'll have the Vols in there. All right, Blummer, hopefully that's a perfect 7-0, and you'll move up at the top of our leaderboard. The winner of all this gets a prize at the end of the season. So we'll see if you can do it.
Oh, no kidding. An invite back next year?
I think that's probably what it is.
That works for me.
He is Geoff Blum. Blum, thanks for the time, man. Thanks for cutting through, and appreciate you doing this with injured and everything.
No, I appreciate that. Gordy, you do a great job. And a lot of my knowledge comes from watching your show.
Oh, perfect. There you go. What an endorsement.
All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Locked On SEC. Our thanks again to Peter Burns. Our thanks to Geoff Blum. Great show today. And hey, a reminder to check out Locked On SEC simulcast daily on the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. For any of our listeners who live in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, you can catch us weekdays at 11:30 a.m. on the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network, home of the New Orleans Pelicans and home of Locked On SEC. I'm Chris Gordy. Everybody have a great weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday with our winners and losers of the weekend on Locked On SEC.